For years, Diana had been protected by royal bodyguards, but she said she found their presence intrusive and wanted to get rid of them.
People like me always tell her, don't be ridiculous, look what happened to Greta Garbo. You don't want to wind up in a headscarf hiding in doorways in Manhattan. There is no way, you should not dispense with the protection officers.
But Diana was determined, and so instead of close protection, she got close-up photography.
It did get more aggressive for her because there was no one to say, stand back, boys. And there was no one with that little hint of authority in her voice to make sure if you didn't stand back, you were going to have your collar tailed.
My God, the prices of the pictures was going through the roof. If Princess Diana is going to be photographed getting a bargain ticket, what else can we get? So suddenly, sitting on the Princess Diana's tail for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, became very much worth it.
There was one photographer in particular who used to really speak to the princess in the most appalling way. He talked about her as the loon, meaning she was crazy.
The photographer who coined the phrase was Mark Saunders.
As an in-joke, you would say, is it a loony lunch? Which would mean, what's the situation? Is it all clear today, or is she in a bad mood? And if the answer was, yep, it's Looney Tunes, that meant keep a low profile. It was genuinely a term of endearment, a laugh, an in-joke. She got into a taxi and put her head down between her legs. And one of the Spanish photographers said, why don't you put your head up and start acting like a princess? And I myself, as a photographer, was part of that. And that's certainly not something I would look back on with any sort of pride.
Out. O-U-T, out. Have a nice trip, ma'am.
America was the only place Diana felt safe from press harassment. She said she felt at home there, and even talked of moving there to live. Her closest friend, Brazilian Lucia Flecha de Lima, had left London for America, and Diana was a regular visitor.
I really loved her as a daughter, and she was a most wonderful friend to me. She brought a lot of joy, of light, of laughter, of dramas into my life. She made me feel young again. She made me feel her age. We would share things.
Flecha de Lima believed Diana needed more support in America, someone else she could trust. Over a series of lunches, Lucia auditioned a potential confidant for the princess.
Over a period of about 9 months, Lucia told me quite a few controversial things that people could have sold to the tabloids and all sorts of things, and I think they tested me.
Discretion and reliability were the main qualities put to the test.
After that, Lucia called me up one day and said, would I consent to being the friend of the Princess of Wales? And I said to her I was deeply, deeply honored, and that I would never let her down, and that I would be a loyal and terrific friend and always be there for her. And she said, Lana, we know an awful lot about you, and Diana will be so delighted.
Fashion designer and businesswoman Lana Marks, with her Hollywood and White House connections, moved in the same circles as Diana. And above all, she was completely trustworthy.
I would bring her for lunch, and we had a great variety of conversations. Some of them were very serious, and others were just two girlfriends having been to a charity event the night before and chatting about who was wearing what and who said what to who, and just a load of fun.
Back in London, while visiting a friend, a patient at the Brompton Hospital, Diana met his surgeon, Hasnat Khan. He had left his native Pakistan to study under Britain's leading heart specialist.
Diana told me that Hasnat Khan was a wonderful gentleman who came into her life when she was most vulnerable and needing somebody who could give her security, who could help her through this very difficult time when she was breaking up with Prince Charles.
The doctor hated publicity, and Diana went to great lengths to keep their relationship a secret.
She used to wear disguises, she used to wear wigs, and they went out all over the country. She went out to Ronnie Scott's club with Hasnat Khan, wearing a wig. She wasn't detected.
Some newspapers learned about Diana's secret life, but they didn't get the full story.
There was one particular occasion where she gave an exclusive to the Sunday papers to say that she'd been visiting patients at the Brompton Hospital. In fact, she hadn't spent the whole evening at the Brompton Hospital. She'd spent some of it at Hasnat Khan's flat. And she told me, whatever happened, please don't say anything about it. So when I was asked about it, I said that, no, as far as I know, she'd spent the whole time at the Brompton Hospital.
Diana was in the midst of difficult divorce negotiations. She wanted the press on her side. So she hired a media advisor.
I'm absolutely delighted. I think it's going to be very difficult, but very good and hard work.
The situation when I arrived there in January '96 was that most of the journalists themselves didn't believe what she was saying, didn't trust, you know, the messages that were put out, because she had tried to manipulate them too often.
Together, Diana and Atkinson launched a charm offensive on editors and writers.
Chatting with Diana was a revelation because she was very candid, surprisingly candid. She called Buckingham Palace the leper colony, and if you wanted to know what she thought about the Queen Mother, she called the Queen Mother the chief leper in the leper colony.
Diana went beyond nasty nicknames with Tiggy Leg Burke, the nanny Prince Charles employed to look after his sons. When Tiggy was spotted pouring champagne for Prince William at a school picnic, Diana instructed her office to brief the press.
We ran a story about what the princess had said about Tiggy Leg Burke, and the next day she went completely potty and said, "I never said that." Her aides rang up, and they had clearly been told by the princess, "Get on the phone there and give that Higgins bloke a now." And they were in the invidious position of having to say, that is totally untrue. The princess can't understand why you wrote that. You know, you met her, you've seen her, and all that. And I said, "But you know it's true. You told me."
3 months into the job, I realized that it was not perhaps as easy as I thought it was going to be. My client was far more mercurial than I had thought.
Diana's work with AIDS sufferers had established her reputation as a humanitarian. She agreed to open a new AIDS clinic, but then she met Aileen Getty, the daughter of the American billionaire John Paul Getty Jr.
I got into the department and found a message to say that Diana had decided that she was going to bring Aileen Getty. Now, Aileen Getty was a high-profile American with HIV and AIDS who had just hit London, was travelling around every television and radio studio in the capital talking about HIV and AIDS, had latched on to Diana. Diana was bringing her and Aileen Getty's entourage.
She, through meetings with Aileen Getty, was persuaded that this was a huge opportunity to broaden the objective, to draw attention to women and AIDS.
So I can remember ringing up Jane Atkinson and going bananas down the phone, sort of saying, "It's not a zoo. She can't just bring all these people in. These are patients that we're dealing with."
And he was very angry, and he did shout at me down the telephone as to how I could have allowed this. So I told him to speak to her directly.
Diana came on and I said, "Ma'am, listen, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter to me whether you come or not, okay? It really doesn't matter, but I'm not having you treating us in this way. I'm quite happy to call it all off now." said, "Oh, Michael, Michael, you must trust me. It'll all be all right." Anyway, she arrived, and we had got the whole thing worked out. Aileen Getty would be sort of taken by one of us, sat at the back of this room, Diana sitting in the front. I got up, having sat next to Diana, and Diana went like that to Aileen Getty. Aileen Getty came from the back of the room to the front of the room.
The princess motioned Aileen to sit very close to her. She held hands with Aileen all the way through, and that was the photograph that got used.
This was Diana's last appearance for the charity. She had lost the trust of Britain's leading AIDS specialist.
Because she was trying to sort so many other things out in her life, she became distracted by that. It became very difficult to know that she would deliver on things that you would ask her to do. To be quite honest, by the end of her life, we hardly asked her to do anything. It just wasn't worth it.
Kellogg's Frosties brings out the tiger in you. They're great!
You've just renewed your car insurance. But did you really get a great deal? Did you ask the AA for a quote, for example? After all, the AA promised to find you the cheapest possible quote they can from one of their panel of recommended insurers. Call 0800 444 777 for a great deal from the AA, Britain's biggest car insurance broker. Just ask.
Day after day, your dishwasher accumulates grease and limescale. Finish Dishwasher Cleaner eliminates them. And a cleaner dishwasher means cleaner dishes.
Cow&Gate's Step-Up Follow-On Milk with extra iron helps ensure your baby gets the right levels of iron, vitamins and minerals, and provides him with the energy he needs to keep going. Cow&Gate, for babies on the grow.
Did the thought of legal costs stop you claiming after an accident? If you or a member of your family have suffered an accident in the last 3 years, you could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Southwest Accident Helpline is your route to a locally based specialist personal injury solicitor that can help you win compensation on a no-win, no-fee, no-risk basis. So for free advice, ring 0800 213 214 today. You've nothing to lose and perhaps a lot to gain.
Do you fancy some pasta, mate? Oh, you know I can't eat wheat. Got a nice little surprise for you, boy.
Sainsbury's is the first supermarket to introduce its own free-from range, food that's free from dairy, wheat or gluten.
Oh, sorry, mate, that's yours. No, that's mine. You know what, man? It's not funny.
Time to firm up your skin? New Garnier Synergy Lift, our first firming and anti-wrinkle cream with essence of cherries and ginger, puts the spring back into your skin. Firmer, more supple skin bounces back, smoothing the appearance of wrinkles. Now that's uplifting. Proven by dermatologists and by me. Garnier Synergy Lift, put the spring back into your skin. Garnier.
In July 1996, the divorce was settled. The removal of Diana's title, Her Royal Highness, sparked massive press attention. A day later, she cut her ties with 100 charities, keeping only 6. Diana had been planning her move for months.
I don't think that I and her staff ever thought there was a good time for her to do it. We always knew that it was going to be a negative media story. She tried, I think, to do it as a story which would give her some sympathy for losing the HRH title.
Some newspapers followed Diana's line, but most didn't.
She was very angry because the media had been very negative to her. And I explained that I had only answered the questions in the way that we'd agreed. And she said that, accused me of not doing so. And then one of her friends was on the 10 o'clock news.
Earlier, Diana's close friend Rosa Monckton spoke exclusively to ITN about how the princess was feeling.
We rang Rosa Monckton, and surprisingly she said, well, I'll ring you back. And I thought, oh, there's only one thing happening there. She must presumably be going to check with the princess. She did ring back quite quickly. I think it was about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, and agreed to do the interview.
She would like to be much more in the front line, I suspect, with fewer charities, and do a lot more.
When I rang the princess and asked her if she knew her friend was on the news, she said, no, she didn't know, but you can't, I think her words were, you can't always stop your friends talking. But then I discovered afterwards, her friend had actually talked to the princess about it. So it was, you know, it's impossible for me to do my job in an environment like that, and I came quite clearly to see that.
After only 8 months, Jane Atkinson quit, the latest in a series of advisors to resign. In the face of difficulties at home, Diana increasingly turned away from Britain, both for her personal and her public life. She was a fixture on the American charity scene, where her presence guaranteed flattering press coverage and huge donations. New York society turned out to attend a dinner at which the princess was to receive the Humanitarian of the Year award.
There were any number of celebrities in this town who actually had offered to up their donations. I mean, there's one gentleman who offered to up his donation from, he used to buy a $10,000 table at our dinner, and asked if he could donate $50,000, but the caveat was that he had to sit next to the princess on the dais, which we declined actually. The evening wore on, and Dr. Kissinger gave the princess her award, and what she talked about was not herself or the organization, but what it meant to be a volunteer.
I think of the parents who this very night are standing around a hospital bed, not knowing if their child will wake in the morning.
And a woman actually who was sitting in the audience somewhat near me, much to my dismay, actually yelled out to her, "Where are your children, Diana?" At that moment, a hush came over the crowd, and she simply looked to the back of the room and said,
At school.
and proceeded on with the rest of her speech, for which she got a standing ovation.
Diana's grace under pressure was one reason she was such a solid gold fundraiser.
In a jaded world, you're always looking for somebody that's just trying to go out and make a difference. Our average dinner probably averaged $1.2 million. That night, our dinner was $2.2 million, and we've never come close to it since, nor do I expect to.
Diana could generate charities an extra $1 million an evening, but she wanted more, an official role. She approached the Prime Minister, John Major.
Diana wanted to be an ambassador for the United Kingdom. She invited John Major to discuss it with him, and he agreed it would be a good idea.
Shortly after their discussion, Diana attended a meeting of Centrepoint, a charity for the homeless, to make a speech.
She had a huge goggle factor. You know, people wanted to see her, and that in itself meant that she could head up an organisation like Centrepoint.
I'm appalled at the dangers young people face on the streets and how vulnerable they are to exploitation.
Diana shared the platform with an opposition MP, the Shadow Home Secretary, Jack Straw. She found herself at the centre of a political storm.
It became a huge furore. It was talked about in the Houses of Parliament, and you know, Centrepoint's name was, we'd politicised the royal family apparently by actually getting her to talk about youth homelessness.
We're over now to our political editor, Michael Brunson. Michael, is there some anxiety that she's something of a loose cannon?
There's a great division tonight among Tory MPs and among some Labour MPs too, and Liberal Democrats as well, about exactly how the Princess is going to go forward from this point onwards.
Just 2 days before, the Queen had discussed Diana's ambassadorial role with John Major.
He had to get permission from the royal family, and they blocked it. And I was there on the morning that she got a fax saying that unfortunately she couldn't be an ambassador for the United Kingdom. And she was absolutely furious. She was really, really cross. She started screaming and said, "I can't understand why they treat me like this."
But Diana would not be thwarted. When she learned the Red Cross was conducting a worldwide campaign to ban landmines, she asked if she could visit Angola, the most mined country in the world.
She did call me to say, what should she wear? I have to say I found that highly amusing, as even my wife wouldn't ask that question of me, but I told her what I was going to wear. I mean, chino trousers and an open neck shirt, and that the staff with me would be wearing the same kind of thing, because we were going into some pretty dirty, some pretty awful places.
The welcoming party included experienced war reporters.
I was very cynical about Diana, and I thought the trip was important because I'd worked a lot as a correspondent covering the issue of landmines in Mozambique and Angola, which her trip was meant to highlight. But I just saw it as a big publicity stunt, another chance for her to be photographed in front of victims looking beautiful.
It's an enormous privilege for me to have been invited here to Angola in order to assist the Red Cross in its campaign to ban once and for all anti-personal landmines.
Diana's call for a worldwide ban upset a member of the British government. Once again, she found herself at the centre of a political row.
Ma'am, the government minister's home has said you're a loose cannon by supporting this campaign. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, Jenny, I'm only trying to highlight a problem that's going on all around the world. That's all.
Her reaction was really one of astonishment. I mean, why is this being said? Why are people wanting to do this? What do I have to do?
So that was...
Oh, I'm really ready to burst into tears now. Who said I'm a loose cannon?
If you try and think, who in the world would you identify who could give a very simple global message and get people to listen and take notice? Well, I can't think of anybody even now that would do that. Not a single individual. And she did it on that visit without any question whatsoever.
Diana's visit increased pressure on governments to sign up to a worldwide treaty banning landmines.
Angola's probably one of the few places she could go to, and people really had no idea who she was.
Because of her problem, I'm sure.
She went to some of the bedsides, and I actually interpreted for her because I speak Portuguese.
What happened here?
And there was a little girl lying, who was clearly in a terrible condition. All her insides were hanging out, and she caught the attention of Princess Diana, who started asking her questions.
Yeah, that's right. So that's why presumably she's lost the weight that she has. She's lost the weight because she can't take in nutrition.
I think that's enough. After she'd moved on, I stayed and just asked the girl a few more questions. And she said to me, "Who is that?" And I said, "She's a princess from England, from far away." And she said to me, "Is she an angel?" And I found that really moving. This little girl probably died a few hours after that. I know she died. And it somehow seemed nice that that was the last thing that she saw, was this beautiful lady that she thought was an angel. She had this kind of aura about her, which I've only seen really, I would say, with Nelson Mandela. She somehow managed to transmit to them this feeling of really caring what had happened. It didn't seem cynical at all once you were actually there with her. I was very impressed. It changed my view of her.
My mum's really soft. She's like a big squashy chair. She smells of soap and the stuff in her hair. I think she's a mermaid. She spent ages in the bar. She's got tickly fingers. They make me giggle and laugh. She stops things from hurting because she's my mum. When she eats biscuits, they stick to her hips and her bum.
Robinson's Fruit and Barley feed their imagination.
He's always doing this. They've got rooms that I noticed.
It is definitely a non-starter. What do I do?
With the AA, you're the member, not the car.
Good evening.
Excellent.
I'm not a member of the AA.
No, I am.
Call 0800 444 999 to join the AA from as little as £43. Just ask.
Moban summer sale ends Sunday with this special offer range cooker for just £392. Call Moban on 0800 413 413.
Do you hate wearing glasses? Or find contact lenses inconvenient and uncomfortable? Like me and thousands of others, you could find the answer here with laser eye treatment from Ultralace. There are no injections and you can be on your way home within the hour. Ultralace has already performed over 40,000 treatments and is the country's longest established laser eye clinic. For a free information pack, call 08000 923 925 or visit ultralace.com. Take a fresh look with Ultralace.
Our fish finger feast. Hearty food crammed with 100% pure white carp.
It's a fish finger pincher!
Let's trick him, shipmates.
I want more, Bobby!
When do we give up our treasure?
Timber time!
All hair contains around 10% water. Water that's essential to keeping it beautiful. Now Dove has made a completely new moisturizing shampoo. It moisturizes hair deep inside and keeps it bouncy and softer than ever before. New Dove shampoo for unbeatable moisturization.
Fairy's got a new, thicker formula that gives you long-lasting, creamy suds. New Thicker Fairy. It'll blow you away.
How can Lloyd's Pharmacy get your repeat prescriptions without you having to go to your GP first? The Lloyd's Pharmacy Prescription Collection Service. Sign up in-store today.
with loads of fantastic half-price reductions in the Woolies home sale. You may forget what you went in for.
Paint roller.
Woolworths, well worth it.
In May 1997, Diana arrived in Pakistan. Her trip was ostensibly to visit the cancer hospital run by her friend, Imran Khan, and his British wife, Jemima. But her real reason was to meet the family of her lover, Hasnat Khan.
I think she would have come anyway, but also I think she felt that it was a good chance, a good opportunity to meet Dr. Hasnat's family. She'd been involved with him for 2 years, and Princess Diana wanted to marry him. And she really, she had decided that he was the man.
But Hasnat's family were divided, and he refused to commit to Diana.
She went from great joy to great despair. Sometimes she said, "Oh God, it's never going to work. He doesn't want to see me anymore."
I had it in my mind that I was going to talk to him, because having married someone from outside my culture, maybe if there was something that could be cleared, or if there was some advice that could be given, maybe I would be able to help.
But before Imran Khan could act, Diana went to Saint-Tropez on the French Riviera. She'd been invited to the home of the Egyptian businessman and owner of Harrods department store, Mohammed Al-Fayed. He had been refused a British passport and claimed he'd bribed several British politicians. Diana arrived on the 11th of July, followed a day later by the press.
We were all together in the same place, all lined up like a photo call, just like at the Cannes Festival. And in front of us, a performance would begin every day at about the same time, at about 11 o'clock. Diana jumping in the water, diving, jet skiing, in a swimming costume, not hiding herself, right in front of us. Well, the whole thing was just extraordinary, I can tell you. I'd never seen anything like it.
She came over to our boat determined to have a say. I remember she saying, no photographs, and she said, first things, how long are you going to be here? And told her, and she said, I don't want to live abroad like my boys want me to. And I thought, oh God, we're going to drive this woman away. And then she did an amazing thing. She went to the edge of the jetty, did a most beautiful dive into the sea, and swam around, laughing, and as though she was having a wonderful time. It was one of the most bizarre things.
Diana's show for the cameras coincided with the 50th birthday party of Camilla Parker Bowles.
Camilla Parker Bowles heading for her birthday celebrations at Prince Charles's Highgrove home. A party going on now, of which there'll be no attempt to keep secret the loving relationship between Charles and Camilla.
Diana told me at the time that she was really hurting about this. It did affect her. I think it has more to do with her hurting inside and showing that she was having a good time.
That same day, Al-Fayed summoned his son to join the princess. Dodi Al-Fayed was a 42-year-old part-time Hollywood film producer. The photographers mistook him for a bodyguard. In Saint-Tropez, one restaurant owner welcomed the group.
Il a dit, tout le monde est parti, sauf Diana.
He told me everyone left apart from Diana and her bodyguard. They left 5 or 10 minutes later. They left holding hands, climbed into the car, and drove off. I said, with her bodyguard? He said, well, yes, with her bodyguard. After all, she's a grown woman, and if she wants to go out with her bodyguard, then she can do as she likes.
Diana returned home to a watershed meeting with Hasnat Khan.
Diana told me that her relationship with Hasnat Khan was not going to go any further. And she said, I can't just sit home at Kensington Palace, Lana, and watch the four walls. I'm a young person. I need to get out.
At the end of July, Diana went back to the Mediterranean. Only this time she was on her own with Dodi Al-Fayed.
Here was a gentleman who was giving her a very good time. He was attentive. She was having a lovely summer in beautiful circumstances in the south of France.
Dodi Al-Fayed was simply a rebound situation. Calculated, I suppose, to upset Hasnat Khan, the person she'd been seeing. I think it was simply a summer fling.
4 days into the cruise, this photograph was taken. Someone close to the princess had called a top celebrity photographer, Jason Fraser, and told him where and with whom she would be. After 2 years of dodging the press with Hasnat Khan, this was one relationship Diana made no attempt to hide. During the cruise, Diana was called by Lana Marx. They had arranged to go to the Italian lakes together in late August. But Lana's father died suddenly.
I called Diana and told her of my very sad news and that unfortunately I wouldn't be able to go away on vacation with her. But this left her with a free week at the end of her summer. And when Dodi asked if she would come back to the south of France, she agreed.
As Diana and Dodi cruised around the Mediterranean, Jason Fraser was once again tipped off about their whereabouts. Only this time, the calls came from Diana herself. She asked him, "Are you getting this? What did you get just now? Why are the pictures so grainy?" Diana also called her friends and gave them different accounts of the relationship.
Diana told me she was very happy with Dodi Fayed. I think she felt that she might have found a new family. And that's something that she always missed, family life. I think she could have got married. And it could have been the fairy tale ending that she wanted.
Diana told me that her summer was coming to an end now, and she had asked for an earlier flight back to London to return 2 days earlier because she'd had enough.
But Dodi persuaded Diana to stay on, and on the 30th of August, they flew to Paris. The couple spent the day in frenetic car journeys across the city.
The word was out that the princess was around. It was the most aggressive sort of paparazzi we'd seen throughout the whole of the summer.
Dodi arranged a romantic night out, but the photographers laid siege to his Paris flat, and Dodi kept changing his plans.
When we left that evening, myself and Kes still didn't know the venue that they were leaving to.
Tempers were getting a bit short. It was very close that somebody was going to get injured.
The couple finally decided to dine at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father.
The pressure was growing because of the number of paparazzi around. Dodie was angry and the princess was shaken up about the whole thing, I think.
She was crying, and I think because she was upset was the main reason why Dodie flashed up at us. He said, how the f*** did you let this fiasco happen? And I didn't lose my temper, but I told him in the strongest terms that it wouldn't have happened if he'd have told us where we were going.
Dodie brought in a new driver, the hotel's deputy head of security, Henri Paul. Dodie planned that they would slip out the back of the hotel unnoticed.
We'd gone to the back and there was a very happy atmosphere there. We were laughing and joking. We walked out. Henri Paul went to the driver's side and changed seats with the person who brought the vehicle around.
According to the subsequent French investigation, Henri Paul was drunk. The photographers were soon in hot pursuit. Henri Paul made a fateful decision. He avoided the direct route to Dodie's flat. Instead, he accelerated along the riverside and left the photographers behind. He raced into the Alma Tunnel and lost control. At midnight, the car slammed into a concrete pillar.
You've just renewed your car insurance. But did you really get a great deal? Did you ask the AA for a quote, for example? After all, the AA promised to find you the cheapest possible quote they can from one of their panel of recommended insurers. Call 0800 444 777 for a great deal from the AA, Britain's biggest car insurance broker. Just ask.
Moburn's summer sale ends Sunday with this special offer range cooker for just £392. Call Moburn on 0800 413 413.
Nothing is more comfortable than Charmin Comfort. It's the most cushiony soft toilet paper there is. Charmin.
Just before and during your period, your body temperature is ever so slightly higher. This actually affects your sleep, and you may move about more than usual in your bed. Lots of wriggling about means you need a pad that can keep you as well covered as possible. Because the new Always Night pad now has even longer, flexible wings, it's the best protecting Always pad ever. So all you have to worry about is keeping cool. Always talking your body's language.
Make a real difference to a child's life and to yours. For a free booklet on careers working with children and young people, call 0800 99 6600.
It's baking tea tomorrow, Mummy.
Nice.
Bye,
Go on
Mummy.
then, darling.
Go on. It's coming in tomorrow, Mummy. Bye.
Washing whites every day can be a challenge when you're worried about sensitive skin. Ariel Non-Bio keeps whites championship white for longer, and it's dermatologically tested.
You know what it is tomorrow, Mummy?
What?
What's the day?
Championship whites from a Non-Bio. Ariel, that's another load off your mind.
Have you been injured, had an accident at work, or on the road, or in a public place? Unsure if you have a claim for compensation? Concerned about hidden charges? Now, there is no need to worry. The Personal Injury Helpline will handle your claim with no charges and nothing taken from the money you're awarded. So, for a risk-free quality service, call us free now on 0800 085 1715. If you don't make the call, you'll never know.
Day after day, your dishwasher accumulates grease and limescale. Finish Dishwasher Cleaner eliminates them. And a cleaner dishwasher means cleaner dishes.
Connect to BT Open World anytime for a flat rate of only $15.99 a month and no internet call charges. So you won't need to worry about the phone bill.
Of you.
Mum and... Discover the possibilities of the internet. Call 0800 800 801.
French police say Diana, Princess of Wales, has been seriously injured and her companion Dodi Al-Fayed killed in a road accident in the French capital, Paris. The driver of their car...
Dodi and Henri Paul died instantly. Diana and Dodi's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, were grievously injured. The French Interior Minister and his aide were waiting at the hospital when the ambulance carrying Diana pulled in.
The minister was on one side and I was on the other. We lifted her out. We pulled the stretcher out. The princess had an oxygen mask on her face, and she had bruising under her eyes. And at that time, of course, she was still breathing.
At 4 in the morning, the doctors emerged from the operating theatre.
En fait, je comprends quand les...
I realized what was happening after 2 hours. The doctors who were trying to revive her, the emergency team, the heart specialists, they came out. Then I knew it was all over.
He gave a little sign to the minister, and the minister went out. I followed him, and he said to the minister, "She's dead."
We watched the news coming up. It seemed to strike everybody connected with it. I had photographers too stunned to speak on the phone. I had a little girl come in. I'd phoned someone and got a girl to come in and help me on the desk. She was useless. Poor girl just cried for 5 hours.
Within an hour of Diana's death, 6 photographers had been arrested.
The story began to come back that she'd been pursued by photographers. I felt ill at the thought of this. And I felt guilt and sadness.
At Balmoral, the royal family were thrown into turmoil.
I was told by 2 sources, one royal, one ministerial, that there was a tremendous breakdown between the Charles camp and the Queen's camp. The Queen did not want Diana's body to go to any royal palace, royal chapel. She wanted it left at an undertaker's. Charles, driven by the boys, wanted a proper royal send-off and all the protocol to kick in. The whole thing deteriorated into the most appalling slanging match, which at one point found Charles shouting at Sir Robert Fellows, Diana's own brother-in-law, the Queen's secretary, "Why don't you just go and impale yourself on your own flagstaff?" Extraordinary phrase. And another royal official saying, "Well, what would you rather, ma'am, that she be taken away in a Harrods van?"
8 hours after Diana died, the royal family set off for Sunday church. As always, since the divorce, Diana's name was left out of the royal prayers. Outside Buckingham Palace, the first signs of the extraordinary public reaction to Diana's death. As Prince Charles left for Paris, the Queen was still refusing her former daughter-in-law all royal privileges.
The row continued even while Charles was in the air, because denied royal protocol, he now had to find some way of getting all the things which protocol would normally have provided. What kind of a coffin, provision of flowers, guard of honour, flags, all the rest of it. And he was now having to call on the government. And there was effectively an open line from the flight deck to number 10.
The only thing that mattered to him from start to finish was concern for the Princess of Wales. Little details. We couldn't find one of her earrings, and he kept saying, no, she can't go without her second earring. Little things like that. You could tell he was really, really distraught, completely shattered.
There was still a row burning as the plane was coming back as to where the body was actually going to go. The Queen pretty sure now that she'd got her way and that it was going to go straight to the Fulham Road undertakers, and Prince Charles determined to get it to St James's Palace to lie in the Chapel Royal there. The government was being asked to provide for both eventualities. But in the end, Charles got his way.
In the streets around the palaces, anger was building against the royal family. Many blamed them for expelling Diana. The lack of a half-mast flag over Buckingham Palace was taken as a sign of the Queen's unwillingness to mourn.
Now, I know it's tradition that the flag flies at Buckingham Palace when only the royalty are there, but I really would have liked to have seen the flag flying half-mast there as well.
I think they treated her terrible. Absolutely shocking. I don't think they're the most cold people on this earth.
A woman came up to me and said, "Oh, you're that chap from the telly. Can I just tell you this? Why isn't the Queen here? That's what I want to know. Why isn't the Queen here?"
I think it's disgraceful that they're not here in residence. And I think most people I've been speaking to this morning have said exactly the same thing.
And I went back to the studio, to my ITN studio, and told my bosses about all this. And their reaction was exactly the same as I know newspaper editors' reaction was. This is dangerous stuff.
On Thursday, 4 days after Diana's death, newspapers took up the charge.
There was a meeting to discuss the funeral at which senior police officers were present and royal officials. A senior police officer at that meeting, I am told, expressed the view that the Prince of Wales would be booed or worse if he was to turn up in London at such a sensitive time.
The following day, the Queen returned.
There were real worries, according to my ministerial source, about what kind of a reception the Queen was going to get. The worry was things would be thrown, and people would jeer or shout or abuse her, and so the decision was taken that they should do it as near the gates of Buckingham Palace as possible, so that an escape existed if anything went wrong. My royal source says that even the Queen was worried about what kind of a reception she was going to get. There was real fear that she's never previously experienced in her reign.
But would the Queen now respond to the people's will?
First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys.
As the day of the funeral dawned, more than 1 million people lined the route.
I'm picking my way through these crowds and bumping into this friend of mine who I'd not seen for a good few months, and always thought he was a bit of an anti-royalist, really. Certainly his position was, well, you know, take it or leave it, and, you know, what's it to me kind of thing. And there he was, with his mother, with a tent, you know, on the on the pavement, kipping out, and I'm like, you know, what are you doing here? And he just said, well, you know, we had to come. And I thought to myself, she probably would have liked that. That would have made her smile.
And finally, breaking with royal tradition, a flag flew at half-mast over Buckingham Palace.
All over the world, she was a symbol of selfless humanity. A very British girl who transcended nationality. Someone with a natural nobility who was classless, and who proved in the last year that she needed no royal title to continue to generate her particular brand of magic.
The applause, which erupted outside Westminster Abbey and quickly spread inside, was a reminder that for years Diana had battled against the royal establishment. She had at times been vindictive and erratic, but millions worldwide mourned Diana for her compassion and her courage, qualities which in a short but dazzling life she had so often displayed at their best.
Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister. The unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
How do you fancy winning a night out with the stars? It's time to vote. Naughty, naughty.